Tips to prevent fraud on our Money Monday with the University of Michigan Credit Union on the Lucy Ann Lance Show, 1290 WLBY. Fraud is on the rise and higher than ever. According to the Federal Trade Commission, reported fraud losses increased more than 30% over 2021, and consumers reported losing nearly $8.8 billion to scams in 2022. Increased technology and the rise of artificial intelligence, or AI, are making scams more believable than ever. There are different ways we can protect ourselves and be on the lookout for scammers. Today, I'm joined by Caitlin Hickman, a branch manager at the University of Michigan Credit Union. She's going to give us tips to help prevent fraud. Let's start with number one. What are some tips to protect passwords?
Yes, this might be one of the most important ones and one of the easiest ones. So I would suggest change your passwords frequently. Recommended change about every 3 months. Using longer passwords is always great. So longer passwords are going to be more secure than a shorter, complicated one with a lot of different letters, symbols, and numbers. You'll still want to use a mix of letters, both upper and lower case, symbols, so that at sign, that exclamation point, and numbers, but you'll want to use at least 14 to 16 characters to keep it very unique and hard to guess. Don't use common or personal information for your password. So don't use info that could be easily guessed or looked up on your social media, pets' names, children's names, birthdays, anything that someone could kind of peek around and guess on their own. And you don't want to reuse passwords across different places. So I will say I've been guilty of this in the past and gotten better at it. But if one of your accounts gets hacked or a place has a data breach, if you have a same password at multiple locations, it's going to be much easier for someone to get into multiple accounts of yours. And also enroll in two-factor authentication. So that would be logging in with your username and password. And then it also will have a website send a code to you, typically via text or email, and then you type it in the website to ensure that it's you actually logging in.
And sometimes they give you the choice of opting out of that for future transactions. Don't do that because it's
Correct.
there to help you. And I know two-factor authentication can be kind of draining, but
Yes.
you don't want your account drained either. So
Right. I have it for almost everything. I have to use it when I log in to pay my mortgage, when I log in to pay my water bill, everything. And like you said, it can be sometimes a little cumbersome, but it makes me feel a lot more secure as I'm paying things online and taking care of my finances for sure.
all right, next we're going to talk about email and unknown links. What do we need to know?
All right. So you always want to be careful of clicking links within an email. So if you receive a link that looks a little odd, it's always safer to retype the web address in your browser than it is to click that link within the body of your email. You never want to open an attachment from a stranger or open anything that has an odd file name extension. If you don't know what it is or who it came from or where it came from, it is always best to delete it. And then if someone follows up with you in the future and asks, "Hey, did you get my email?" then they can resend it at
Right.
that time. They can resend it. But if you're not sure, just delete it. And then phishing is a popular scam where you will get an email or a text, and in that email or text, the scammer will try to steal passwords, account numbers, or your social security number in some cases by having you click on a link. And what's really unfortunate is that often these emails or texts look like they're legitimate from a bank, a credit card company, or a utility company. So if you get something that looks a little suspicious, you can delete it, reach out to your financial institution, your utility company, whoever that email is from, and see if it's valid and see how they need to contact you instead.
And Caitlin, this can happen to the best of us. We let our guard down for a
Absolutely.
moment. We're very busy. We're multitasking. So if
Yeah,
it does happen, do let the authorities know. Don't
absolutely.
try
Yes.
to pretend it didn't happen.
Correct. Yeah. And, and it's not embarrassing. Like you said, we are busy. We lead busy lives. We get emails and texts for everything now, and it's easy for things to slip through the cracks. So if it does happen and you do miss something, no need to be embarrassed. Like you said, reach out to the authorities and get the proper help because there are avenues in which to fix things and kind of come back out on top.
We're talking with Caitlin Hickman from University of Michigan Credit Union. Do you have any ideas regarding our social media as well?
I sure do. So,
All right.
1 in 4 people who reported losing money to fraud since 2021 said that it started on social media. And as of June 2023, the most frequently reported loss was from social media. So, like mentioned earlier, use strong, unique passwords and don't post personal details on your social media, even if those accounts are private or You know everyone on your Facebook or your Instagram. Always be cautious about what you're posting. Using your pet's names or mother's maiden name, things like that could make it easier for a scammer to find this info on social media. And one thing that I do, I travel a lot. If I travel somewhere, I don't share information about that trip until I am back home. So I often recommend, don't share where you're on vacation, don't share information about your address, nicknames, anything like that, because that could put you at a greater risk of fraud.
All right. And are there any ways to help identify phone scams?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we're all becoming, I think, a little more familiar with artificial intelligence, AI. And as helpful as it can be, it is also making phone scams much more sophisticated and believable. So, because of AI, scam artists have the ability to copy a friend or family member's voice and then call people using that copied voice. If you're not sure if it's legitimate or not, hang up that call and then call your friend or family member back to verify them. You don't want to just trust it just because it sounds like your dad or sounds like your mom. You'll want to be extra safe. Another phone scam that is sometimes popular is getting a call and saying that you won a prize. And callers will say that you were selected for an offer or you won a lottery. But in order to get that prize, you have to pay. We know that's not how lotteries work. If you get a call like that, hang up right away. You also might get a call where a scam artist calls and says that they are law enforcement or a federal agency, and you need to answer this call and provide personal information or you'll be arrested. If you were actually going to be contacted by the authorities, it would not be via a phone call. So if you get a call like that, hang up right away. Same with government agencies. Government agencies are not going to call you to confirm sensitive information. So your social security number, things of that nature. If someone does call you asking for your SSN or other sensitive information, be cautious because even if they say they're with Social Security or the IRS, you'll want to protect yourself. There are different ways to contact them that are not just picking up that phone and trusting them right away.
And again, it's very easy to get scared when you get a call like that and think you've got to comply. So,
Absolutely.
you just got to think it through. And best advice, hang up. If they really want you and really do need you, they know where to find you, I'm sure.
They'll find you.
All right.
Exactly.
Number 5 on here. What are some tips for keeping our accounts overall safe?
Yeah. So, one thing I like to do, and I always suggest that we do with our members, is keeping an eye on your checking, your savings, your credit card accounts, and your credit reports. So, keeping an eye on that transaction history and making sure that the transactions look familiar to you, your credit reports, paying attention to unusual account activity. So, if you see an account or a line of credit open that you don't recognize, disputing that, making sure that everything on your credit report looks accurate. If you get any bills or statements for accounts that you didn't open, or if you stop receiving your regular bills or statements, that could be a sign of fraud. One thing that's really nice is that there is annualcreditreport.com. They offer free weekly credit reports from all three major bureaus. So if you notice any accounts opened or closed, or hard inquiries for accounts that you didn't apply for, those are signs of ID theft. And if you see this, you can contact creditors immediately. You would be able to make a report with the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, at identitytheft.gov, or you can call at 1 877 438 4338. And then I would suggest freezing all of your credit reports. That is completely free to do, and they stay frozen until you unfreeze them, which is really nice. You know that they're frozen and no one can touch them after you've done that.
And so, in other words, it'll stay where it was at when you froze it, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right. So no one would be able to have a pull on your credit to open a new line. It is completely set where you have it until you call those bureaus again. And to unfreeze it, you do have to call the bureaus one by one in order to unfreeze, which is really nice because it stays set until you decide that you want it unfrozen.
And Caitlin, when you call the Federal Trade Commission at identitytheft.gov or the number toll free 877 438 4338, what happens after you make that report?
So you would make a report with them, and then they are going to investigate that false inquiry, the credit lines, and then they will work with you to investigate, take care of your credit, safeguard your credit, and hopefully bring whoever was trying to steal your identity to justice. So it's a really nice way to keep yourself protected. And protect yourself for the future, quite honestly.
Absolutely. Caitlin Hickman, branch manager at the University of Michigan Credit Union, helping us to avoid and prevent fraud. I'm Lucy Ann Lance. For more information, you can go online to umcu.org. That's umcu.org. This is Ann Arbor's Talk Station, 1290 WLBY.